G'day, I'm speaking to you from Ngunnawal land today. Darranuna, Darranunawal, Yungu, Nalamanyan, Dunimanyan. Ngunnawalwadi, Darawadi, Dindi, Wangaralinjinyan. May I acknowledge all First Nations people present at the Roundtable. Apologies in advance that Parliament is sitting today. I'm afraid that parliamentary pairs are as scarce as a dataset with no missing values and perfect documentation. And yes, it's ironic that we're discussing how to connect datasets across government when I can't even pop down the hill to connect physically. My thanks to Philip Clark and the Academy of Social Sciences for organising this roundtable, and to the Australian Bureau of Statistics under the leadership of David Gruen for their work in integrated government data. I'm sure this roundtable will help by bringing together researchers and policymakers to accelerate our ability to share and use data responsibly. Let's start with heavyweight datasets. As you probably just heard from Dr. Gruen, the Australian Bureau of Statistics hosts two of the country's largest integrated data assets: the Business Longitudinal Analysis Data Environment, BLADE, and the Person-Level Integrated Data Asset, PLIDA. BLADE combines around 29 datasets, including surveys of business characteristics, business income and tax records, trade and intellectual property data, insolvency information and employment conditions, and spans the period since 2001. PLIDA integrates about 30 datasets from 2006 onwards, linking census data to tax returns, social security payments, migration records, and information on health, education and disability. Both assets are longitudinal and expand as new datasets are added for emerging policy questions. By providing a single source of de-identified unit record data on businesses and people, these assets enable analysts to study how firms perform over time and how individuals' characteristics, service use and outcomes interrelate. Now, let me turn to discuss how integrated data is boosting productivity, drawing on examples from the federal government, state government and private sector. Using BLADE, the Treasury assembled a firm-level panel by linking tax, business and employment records to explore why Australia's productivity growth had slowed. This integration allowed researchers to compare Australian companies with global leaders and revealed that the productivity gap has widened. Business entry and exit rates have fallen, and market concentration has increased. Together, these factors explain a significant share of the productivity slowdown. Analysis using the BLADE dataset also underpinned the merger reforms that passed Parliament last year. For the first time, policymakers could see how many mergers were taking place in Australia each year, and that most were not being scrutinised by the competition watchdog. Next, let's look at an example from health. The Australian Institute of Health and Welfare's National Health Data Hub links hospital, pharmaceutical and mortality records. It shows that health service expenditure averages $1,700 per person per year, but rises to $24,000 in the last year of life. Overall, 8% of lifetime health costs are incurred in our final year. Health costs are highest for people dying of cancer, and hospital admissions are the main driver. These patterns allow policymakers to target palliative and preventive care. Community-based teams can be deployed earlier to avoid unnecessary hospital admissions, and screening programs can focus on regions with high rates of chronic disease. All of this work relies on de-identified datasets, strict access controls and privacy safeguards to maintain public trust. Data integration is happening at a state level too. New South Wales Health has replaced half a dozen separate rostering systems with a single digital platform, Health Roster. The system now schedules about 183,000 staff across 23 local health districts and helps plan shifts more equitably and efficiently. Implementation required common rules, careful data migration and training. Before Health Roster, managers used spreadsheets and whiteboards, making it hard to calculate overtime, manage fatigue and plan across facilities. The digital system provides real-time visibility into shifts, alerts for industrial compliance and mobile access for staff. Implementation wasn't perfect, but Health Roster has improved satisfaction, retention and workforce planning across the state. Effective use of data is making corporations more productive too. Parcel delivery company UPS has a system known as Orion that continually recalculates routes for drivers, who make a staggering 120 to 175 stops per day. Orion integrates package destinations, traffic and road restrictions, building a digital twin of the delivery network and recalculating routes throughout the day to respond to road closures or new pickups. Over its first decade of implementation, the system saved about 160 million kilometres of driving and 38 million litres of fuel annually. The savings extend beyond fuel to reduced wear and emissions, and the company invested in training so drivers would trust the algorithm. The final example comes from Australia's flag carrier. Qantas's Flight Pulse app gives pilots personalised fuel and safety data. In its first year, it saved nearly 2 million kilograms of fuel and avoided nearly 6 million kilograms of carbon emissions. More than 2,700 pilots now use it. The app relies on data from aircraft sensors, flight planning systems and weather services to build a profile for each flight. After landing, pilots can see how their fuel burn compares to optimal models and get suggestions. Data integration is not merely a government exercise. Logistics companies and airlines optimise routes and flight operations because they can analyse millions of data points. Governments can learn from these innovations, but they must also invest in the skills and systems necessary to interpret complex data sets and build governance frameworks that embed privacy and ethical considerations from the start. These cases suggest 4 principles for building high-impact data programs. First, integrated data assets can turbocharge evidence-based policy. By linking existing administrative and survey data, assets such as Blade and Plyder dramatically reduce the cost and time of evaluating policy interventions. They make it feasible to analyse randomised trials without mounting special surveys, thereby accelerating rigorous evaluation. Second, leadership and collaboration matter. Enduring data assets need champions who will persevere through legal and technical hurdles, and senior decision makers who authorise access and funding. Projects should start small, demonstrate value, and then scale up, sharing insights with affected communities to build their social licence. Third, data integration must earn and keep public trust. Privacy-preserving linkage techniques, clear legislation, and transparency about how data are used help maintain a social licence and protect individual rights. Fourth, people and capabilities are as important as infrastructure. Recruiting effective data scientists and nurturing their development through initiatives such as the APS data profession is essential. When these conditions are met, integrated data assets generate evidence that can support regulatory reforms, improve service delivery, and drive innovation across public and private sectors. Finally, thank you to all Roundtable participants for your contributions. Conversations like these play a vital role in strengthening Australia's data integration capability and our collective understanding of how to harness data for the public good.